Welcome to the Business Spotlight podcast. My name is Kay Cote, and I'm your host of today's episode. And today on the show, I have Todd Austin, founder and CEO of Texas Twisters Gymnastics, as my guest. We're going to be learning about his business, his journey to business ownership, best practices, and challenges that he's faced to give you that inside look to what it's like to build and operate a business. Welcome, Todd. Thanks for being on the show. Great to see you.
Thanks, Kay. Appreciate being here.
All right, but before we dive into all things business, I'd love to share with the audience a little bit about you. So take us back as far as you'd like and share a bit about yourself.
So my wife and I moved to Georgetown, Texas in 2018. We have two kids. We were living up in Minneapolis at the time. I've been doing software engineering for the last 12 plus years. Austin seemed like not only did it fit our last name, but it seemed like an opportune place to kind of explore the tech industry a little more and be in a great spot. So Georgetown has been really good to us. Our kids have grown up here now, and a little over 2 years ago, January of 2024, we decided to open up a gym because we saw a need in the community just for um, some more gymnastics. Georgetown was the fastest growing town in America 2 years ago for 2 years consecutively. So there's a need for families and kids to have a place where they can explore gymnastics. So we started with nothing, and we've grown it and scaled it to a place where now we're looking at how we can expand and how we can grow even larger. So it's kind of been a wild ride.
Oh, that's incredible. So how did you go from um, software, did you mention, to
Mhm.
gymnastics? How did that happen?
So my wife's background is just steeped in gymnastics. She grew up doing it competitively up in Wisconsin. She's coached at a number of gyms across the country. So she's always had that in her blood. Obviously, our daughter is gonna follow in her footsteps a little bit, and she did. Um, and my wife really had the dream of, I'd really like to teach my own kid at my own gym, and that kind of started it off to where we were having the conversations, and she is the dreamer of the relationship, and I suppose I'm maybe the realist or somebody who can get hung up on the details. But if there's one thing that has stuck with me over time, it is to let the dreamers dream, and that's something that I had to learn. And so we started taking steps forward, and we always said if doors start closing, we'll kind of reassess, we'll pull back. But they just never stopped opening. They never closed on us. And so here we are, still going.
That is incredible. I absolutely love that story. And I got to give a shout out to the Midwest. I'm from there as well. And I was kind of picking up a little Minnesota in your voice. That's cool. Well, I'm very excited to get into this conversation as well. So, okay, let's talk about the gym. Let's talk about your team. So, you and your wife. Now, who else is on your team? Do you have any full-time staff, part-time staff, or anything else?
Great question. So, when we started the gym, we had two other coaches that were working with my wife. Today, we have about 25 coaches on staff and one manager. So that manager kind of provides that buffer and helps more with the day-to-day operational stuff. And then all the part-time coaches, some are college kids, some are more full-time, some are less full-time. So it's really kind of hit or miss, but it's always important to me to keep that hiring pipeline going because people are gonna come in, go out. But we've been able to continue to raise a high bar with the more coaches we bring on staff. At the very beginning, you're kind of desperate and you'll just take anybody that wants to work. We were very blessed to get some real fantastic kids right out the gate. And we've been able to retain pretty well here. So
That's incredible too. Now, are you teaching just kids or do you have adult classes too?
adult classes too. So we can start as young as one and then adults as old as you want to get. I won't say how old the oldest adult is. But yeah, for us up in Minnesota, I don't have a gymnastics background. That was Becky. But I did get involved in an adult gymnastics community up there with her. And so I did that for about 2 years. And so since that time, it's been important to us to offer adult gymnastics. A lot of gyms shy away from that now. There is insurance costs. There are there's wear and tear on your equipment. There's different things that might make it sense to not host that, but it's
Mhm.
important to us, and it built a community, and that's what we've seen here too. Uh, One of our goals opening was to open right before the last Olympics. So the Olympics with Simone Biles and the team doing very well there. It was very important for us to open that year because that is just a wave of interest in the world of gymnastics, and the gym saw a huge uh, influx after that, enough to crash the platform that we use for like 2 straight days. So that was a real mess, but it meant, hey, we opened at the right time. Um, and so, yes, adult gymnastics means a lot to us. Even if it's not the bread and butter of your gym, it still is a great offering. And people drive from decent distances away just to try it out and just to do it.
Well, I might have to come in because one of my goals is to learn either a back handspring or a backflip. And when I was in tumbling, our program was cut before I was able to do that. So it's one of my life pillars. So I might have to hit you up for that.
Please do. Please do.
All right. So you mentioned you brought in a really good topic of marketing. You mentioned like opening at the right time. Like, people were really interested. Our team was crushing it in the Olympics. Now, tell me about your marketing as a whole. What are you doing now to draw interest?
So, from a marketing standpoint, we have really not needed to go super hard with um, ads. We'll say ads. A lot of this stuff is word of mouth. My wife and I, we lived here for a number of years. There were some school circles we were a part of, some friends, and just generally the Georgetown community. And so when we would get the word out, it would spread pretty much just via word of mouth. So that was just getting it out there. We're just a little bit off a really busy road, so right on 35 and 29 in Georgetown. So it's kind of the heart of Georgetown, so it's easy to get to. It's not always the easiest to find, but we are located where people, if they're going to Hobby Lobby or Tractor Supply, any of that stuff, they can stumble upon the gym, and which a lot of people did in the beginning. Um, so that being said, we did try things like Google Ads, or or social media ads, things like that. And those are okay. That's fine. To me, with the software engineering background and really working on platforms and marketplaces and things for a lot of years, discoverability was really important to me. So having the online presence be something where uh, you can come up a lot of places for no cost. So I will grab every free listing I can, whether that's Yelp or Nextdoor or Yellow Pages or LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or YouTube. Like, grab every single free listing possible, so that if anybody Googles anything about you, boom, the whole first page is going to show up all your stuff because all these platforms are big and they can propagate well, even if it's just having a LinkedIn page. So it was really important to me to really go hard with discoverability. And then like the website and all that kind of stuff is just it's a passion project. I like websites, and that's just fun.
Definitely. Yeah, no, SEO is a huge thing, and just like having that presence is massive. It can be like something as simple as naming your photo files, the gym name,
Yeah.
it populates them, and that's something to really think about. I love that you're doing that. That's really great. So, okay, so now I kind of want to dive into your day to day and your wife's day to day, since you guys are team working this. What does that look like for you as CEO, as a founder? Are you each in your own lane? Are you one working on the business, in the business? What does that look like for you?
Yep, great question. Um, we definitely have our own lanes, I would say. And at the very beginning of the gym, it was less defined, and so there might have been a little stepping on toes here and there, but we learned. And one of the side effects to this entire business is that marital conflict resolution gets really good because there is no time to bicker or complain or really fight because you got stuff to do. And so there is loads and loads of things to do. My lane is primarily the back end of everything. So whether that's, the finance and accounting or the legal side, the hiring, the firing, all of that kind of stuff, I work pretty hard on. She does a lot of the front end stuff. And so, she still coaches some of the competitive teams, but now there are more competitive coaches too. And so she kind of, works them or works with the manager, and really working on for lack of a better term, coaching quality assurance, because we want to make sure that as we kind of grow and scale, that the product itself is as good as it can be, or it's what we intended from the beginning. We in the first 2 years, we spent every waking moment there. We put our kids in the back room, and they would just live back there, and we would live in the gym. And I was still working my software engineering job up until last August, and so we were just doing everything we could to kind of make this thing work. But now that we've had a manager for a little while and we've stepped out, we want to make sure that even if we're not in there, that it's evolving and it's progressing in the way that kind of fits our vision, what we had in the gym. So yeah.
Well, it sounds amazing that, especially working with your spouse, that is something, a
Mhm.
business partner is one thing, and when it's your partner, it sounds like you guys have a well-oiled machine there.
Mhm.
So let's look at the competition. How are y'all standing out amongst your competition?
Well, we were the new gym in the area. When we opened, there were two other gyms in Georgetown. One of them is Acrotex, and the other one was Journey Gymnastics. Both of those had been around for a lot of years. Our kids had gone to both of them, so we have great relationships with them. But we knew that we had our work cut out for us because we're just brand new. Nobody knows us for anything. So we wanted to be the best we could at whatever we could. So whether it was for me, maybe I'm a little OCD with cleaning, I'm going to have a really clean gym. And if I'm in the lobby, I'm going to open the door for parents and I'm going to try to talk to every family that comes in and try to get to know them. To me, it was really important to build relationships, to like establish who we are. And I think that really helped us. And really, when we do go to the gym nowadays, now we're not in it constantly. When we do go in, we try to, we just call it lobby time. Just go to the lobby and spend time with folks. That's one of the things that can set you apart, which I'm sure any business could probably relate to. You start to pull out of it, and it's not the same as maybe when you were first in it, when you're so close to the business itself, and when you can kind of pull back to the bigger picture. I think it's important to keep revisiting the thing that made you great in the first place, whether that's relationship building or whatever. Um, and so there are some new gyms that have come up in the area. Again, we I don't see that as a huge negative. I think it means Georgetown was the right place to be, and I think other people are seeing that too now. Um, so I'm excited about the future.
Oh, that's a golden nugget of this conversation. It's really looking at that FaceTime you have with your clients, that one-on-one, or even like you said, opening the door in the lobby. Those are such great tips for any businesses that especially has a brick and mortar. So now I'd love to dive into challenges because, as we know, as business owners, it can be a lonely place and there's a lot of challenges that come up. So we love to share what business owners are facing and how they're overcoming them. So, what is a challenge you're faced with currently, and how are you working to overcome it?
Every industry is probably going to be a little bit different for us. Staffing, it's always it's a challenge. I don't know if it's a love-hate relationship, but like you couldn't grow without your staff, but it's also the most challenging thing to manage because it could grow the wrong way, it could grow out of control. So it seems like a garden that constantly needs to be tended, which is that's okay. And so just investing in the right places. Also, something that has been beneficial to me is, um, for Becky and I, this is our baby, for lack of a better word. Um, and we care so very much about it. No one's going to care about it quite as much as we do, and that's okay. They don't have to. Um, but if we see something, for instance, that we don't love, or we're like, oh, we wouldn't do it that way, or this is maybe not a good thing, um, to just like pause for a second and it's not it's not some massive thing that needs to be fixed. Maybe it just needs a gentle nudge. Maybe it just needs to kind of right itself and realign, and then it's back on the right path. Unless it's some egregious thing where you're like, okay, we can't have this. So always making sure that the staff is emulating our values, whether that's when they talk to parents or how they deal with kids or how they deal with each other. Um, and yeah, it just takes constant tending. So it is a challenge, but it's the one you want though. You want people interested enough to where they come work for you, and then you can give them a good employment too.
Definitely, definitely. Now, on the topic of staffing, are you looking to hire more staff or are you more stable and just like working on tending the staff you currently have?
No, we are hiring. A lot of gyms get to a place where they can maybe have a smaller amount of staff, but they are for the most part full time. We lean much more heavily in the part time right now, which it's not a bad thing. But we are always hiring because people are constantly kind of coming in, coming out. Or if they're high school students, they're about to head out to college. So I love having those conversations because you never know when the right one is just going to come along. So yes, we're hiring for more.
And how do you find your summer or your summer staff, your part-time staff?
They find us. Again, like this is kind of like the marketing aspect. Uh, if people are coaches or have been coaches in the past or really have done gymnastics in the past, um, they'll pretty specifically search for, gyms in the area where there's coaching jobs. And that's where the SEO and everything can play in really well because it's really easy to find that. So they can find us that way. Um, so I just, keep a Google form and link it to the website and people can go in there and apply and we'll interview and do all that kind of stuff. I did try Indeed hiring for a little while um, because I think they give you, like $500 of free credit. You got a flood of applicants. We didn't hire a single one. Maybe Indeed works for other industries, but for a gym, not so much. So we've had a lot of luck with people just walking in the door being like, "Hey, I'm looking for a coaching job," and then we talk to them, and they're fantastic.
Oh, that's incredible. Now, do you have any like students that graduate or students that become of yours that become coaches?
Right now, all the kids they're on the younger side. Like oldest ones in the gym are probably around 15, 16. We will typically hire at a minimum at 16 because when you get lower than that, just certain legalities come into play of they can't work past 7 o'clock or different things like that. Um, so no, we have not had a student yet come back to work. Maybe it'll be our own kids. They they spend enough time in the gym. Um, but we have talked, we have talked about what it looks like to have, I don't know if student teachers, helpers more so. There were some gyms that our kids did jujitsu at, and they kind of had the students that did the classes also assisted in some of the later things. So like assisting with the little kids and stuff like that. And so there may be a place for that. I don't know if that would look like actual employment or something else, but yeah.
Oh, wonderful. And you mentioned your kids, so I want to touch on how do you find harmony between y'all running the business, the kids? Is there the word balance is kind of but the word harmony, how do you find harmony with the ebbs and flows of business and personal life?
Oof. I don't know if we have yet. Um, I think some days are balanced, some days are unbalanced. We did try homeschooling them for a short bit of time. So last August, they had been going to a school here in Georgetown, and it was really good. But again, one of my wife's dreams was to homeschool the kids someday. So we set out on that other mountain, which is a mountain of work. And so she really leaned heavily into that. When she did that, I kind of leaned more into the gym, and we kind of tried to both work it that way. Um, Homeschooling probably would have worked for my older one, not for my younger one. So we had to make a pretty quick decision in December of, you know, are we gonna keep trying to fight the kids to do school at home because it's kind of a challenge. I think if we weren't doing the business at the same time, it probably would have made more sense. What it really did, I mean, homeschooling really gave us the opportunity to be with them constantly, for better or for worse. And so we spent a lot of family time together, and we did the school that we needed to do, and then we could just be together, which was really, really great. But they're back in school now, which was another transition, but that really helped, Becky and I focus on the larger picture of the gym. So I think it all worked out for a reason. Um, but we try to be very intentional with our time with the kids. And it's easier now for sure when we are not at the gym every single night. We can spend a lot more time with them.
Definitely. Well, thank you for sharing that. This has been such a fun conversation. Now I want to dive into our rapid fire Q&A. I'll be asking you 4 questions and just answer very top of mind.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, question number 1 is what is a key to success for you?
Consistency in everything you do, in the level of effort that you're giving. Yeah, just consistent. Be consistent with it all.
Definitely love that. Number 2 is what is a piece of advice you have for other business owners?
Oh man, I'm drawing a blank because there's just a lot. Um, just be willing to suffer. I know that sounds morbid and doom and gloom, but it's a lot of suffering.
It's true. Very true. Number 3, now this is a fun one. It could be a book, a piece of content, an article, just anything that's really resonated with you recently.
Hmm. Um, Maybe not so much an article, but it's really relevant for our business lately, which is it was a quote I heard the other day that said, if you can't really lose, you can't really win. And so if we're taking big risks now, which we are, we can very much lose. But I think that's the only way to really win is if you're playing a game that you know you can't lose, that's not really winning.
That's true. I'm going to write that down. That is a good one. And the final question in rapid fire, this one take your time on a little bit. If I handed you a magic wand and you had the ability to rapidly improve one aspect of your business, what would it be?
Um, if I could improve one aspect of the business, I would say it's not as much improving something as I'll take the magic wand and just help us expand. Because we know we're in a temporary spot, is a great place to open, as you see in the background. It worked for what we needed to start. It was a great starting point. But we've been looking at expansion now for a little while now, and And we are taking those steps, which is a huge risk. But it's also, this is where we have to go. So, um, yeah, just use that magic wand to get us there faster.
Oh, definitely. Yes. Well, thank you for sharing those. Well, let's get people connected with you and
Mhm.
help with that. So, how can people connect with you and your business online?
Um, you can go to the website, texastwistersgym.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn because I was in corporate America and everybody's on LinkedIn. Yeah, any of those ways, or just stop by the gym. We're right in Georgetown. Yep.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Todd, for our final question today.
Yeah.
What is most inspiring to you today?
Again, a great question. I'm kind of drawing a blank. Honestly, sometimes I think maybe other business owners can relate to this. Um, you just don't have the inspiration, but you just got to buckle down and do it and be real gritty with it. So today I don't feel super inspired, uh, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to work hard and just do what I have to do to make this thing work because time's limited and yeah, yeah,
Grit is the inspiration some days. That is true.
yeah.
It's very profound. So, Todd,
Mm.
thank you so much for sharing your story with me. This was such a great episode. It was so great talking to you.
Thanks, Kay. I appreciate it.